All right. Hello, fellow project managers, PMPs in the making. I hope you're doing well. Sincere apologies for starting a little bit late, a lot of technical issues, but finally, I'm able to put this out. I'll try to make this as brief as possible to offer the value that this has for the people who need it. For those of you who are a little bit confused about your PMP exam and what to focus on, the purpose of today's presentation is to give you clarity, to help you narrow down what you need to focus on as a PMP in the making. There is a publication available called PMP Exam Accelerated. It's a PMP brain dump and quiz, and the purpose is to get you in ship shape for your exam. So I'm going to go through this very quickly. There's an introduction. The summary of this introduction is you do need clarity on not just PMBOK 7, but also the processes that are talked about in PMBOK 6. I know these days a lot of folks are only going through the 7th edition, but I want to encourage you to go through the 6th edition as well. The reason is the 7th edition does not offer enough specificity about the processes of project management. I would advise at a minimum to go over some of the pointers that I have here. You also need to understand that your exam is not just predictive. So if you are only banking on PMBOK, you should add to the list the Agile Practice Guide. You should add to the list the Agile Manifesto, the values and the principles, and also the world of Scrum. Regarding the content outline, you have 35 tasks. Those 35 tasks, you can see them on the screen. Managing conflict is big, and so is leadership. In fact, if I was going to summarize the entire people domain, I would just say, get good with leadership. Leadership is huge. For those of you wondering how to get this publication, just go on down to tinyurl.com/PMP Accelerated. You should be able to find it. So when it comes to the process domain, you got to remember that you've got agile, you got predictive, you got hybrid. So all these tasks are not just strictly predictive or strictly agile. You could get a hybrid goulash. Highly advise you to comb through all these 35 tasks. Get them down pat. If you need to slow down the video and rewatch it, please do that. Going into PMBOK 6, you got to understand what the processes are saying explicitly and implicitly. For example, in integration, instead of thinking develop project charter, think authorize the project and the project manager. Instead of thinking develop project management plan, think about developing a plan for the entire project, and so on and so forth. So I have broken down all 49 processes crystal clear so that you can understand what the 49 processes are from an agnostic standpoint. From a standpoint that's not rote cramming or memorization. This is just everyday speak. The next thing I want to encourage you to do is to take a look at my PMBOK mainline. PMBOK mainline, you can find it down here, and there's so many videos I have on the mainline. Just Google PMBOK mainline, watch the video, understand the flow. Look for the most current one. Anything after 2020 will be good. 2021 forward, and I break it down. Okay, that's what it looks like. Beyond the main line, you also need to understand the principles in the 7th edition. Here on the screen, I have summaries of the 7th edition principles: stewardship, team, stakeholders, values, systems thinking, leadership, tailoring, quality, all of them, all 12. I have other videos out there on YouTube. You can go watch them. But you do need to know this stuff. If I was going to summarize this few minutes we have together, I would just call it the blueprint for PMP exam success. Because right now, I've shown you the outline. That's by far the biggest thing. I've shown you PMBOK 6, I've shown you PMBOK 7, and now I'm telling you, check out the principles in particular in the 7th. Chapters 1, 2, and 3 in the 7th are cool. Understanding the view of products, understanding the value delivery system, but you got to up the ante and know your principles. Get into the mindset of the principles, right? Here on the screen, I have a few of them. A little bit blurred, but I'll read them to you. Be a diligent and respectful steward. Be a caring steward. Create a collaborative project team environment. Effectively engage with stakeholders. Focus on value. See the big picture, systems thinking. Be a great leader. Bring in the team, harness the power of the team, tailor the processes, think about quality and build it in. Navigate complexity with agile, with agility. Optimize your risk responses, be adaptable, and respond to change. All right, moving on, we have the domains. Again, my message to you is simple. You got to read the domains. Read the domains. Now you may ask, Phil, why did you put this together? I had a student who was at sea. I don't mean on a voyage, I mean lost, literally lost. This student didn't know what to do. So I'm giving you my 2 cents of what to do. You got to also read through the domains, okay? Understand the domains at a high level. Again, if you want this publication, you can just go on down to tinyurl.com/PMP Accelerated. You'll be able to get it. All right, and I go into a lot of detail. This is already on page 15 of this 52-page document. All right, so I go through all the domains. I'm not going to bore you by reading them to you. You can read them yourself. I've got so many videos on YouTube of this, so I'm not going to give you the same thing again. I would advise take some time out, read this 52-page document, go in for the kill, and beef up your prowess for the exam. Then we go into the Agile Manifesto, the values and the principles. You got to really imbibe these, and they will be your guiding light on the exam. They'll be the torch that guides you down the murky halls of PMP trickery, because there's a lot of trickery, whether we like it or not, on the exam. You got to be able to navigate it. And one of the ways to navigate this trickery, my friends, is with the values and the principles. Okay? So make sure you go in for the kill on those values and principles, the 4 values, the 12 principles, know them cold. The next thing I'll talk about is Scrum, the 3-5-3 configuration. Really know your Scrum, because you probably already know this, but in the world today, majority of the companies that say they are agile in their practices use Scrum. The last check that I remember was about 80+%. Think about that. 80% of organizations using this framework. No wonder it appears on so many exams. You got to get good with it, my friends. So know your 3 roles, know your 5 events, know the optional events such as backlog refinement, because honestly, backlog refinement is talked about in the Agile Practice Guide, and it's recognized as an event in the Agile Practice Guide, or you could say a practice. The summary is you got to know it, right? Understand the concept of empiricism, lean thinking, all the background leading up to Scrum, and then understand the 3-5-3, understand your artifacts, understand your roles really well. The PMI has alternate names for these roles in the Agile Practice Guide. So if you haven't read pages 50 forward about the practices, and you haven't read the previous pages that go into the roles, I will highly advise you to do that. Okay. At this point, I want to encourage you to begin putting in any questions. If you do have questions that you want me to answer, my friends on YouTube, my friends on Facebook, and my friends on LinkedIn, okay? If you have any questions that I can answer for you, gray areas about the exam, things that you're not clear about, just type in the question into the chat, and I'll be very happy to take any questions that come up. Okay, the purpose again for this is to get you unstuck. Some of you are stuck, wondering, I want to get certified, but I don't even know what to read. Well, I've just told you, you got to read the outline, content outline, right? If you haven't gotten my PMP exam immersion book, you can find that on Amazon. It's a good way of you getting all the 35 tasks down solid, right? Check out my PMP exam radio show on pmradio.org. It's free. Go to pmradio.org, sign up. Go to study.pmradio.org, and that will take you to another version of it, just audio on Apple, right? The pmradio.org will give you thousands of minutes of audio prep for the exam. Study.pmradio.org will give you access to my 40-day curriculum on iTunes or on Apple Podcast. Remember, you can find my podcast, the PMP Exam Radio Show, on all platforms. It's free. And I have videos every single month to help you amp up your game. It's free. I don't know why you wouldn't subscribe. Why wouldn't you subscribe to a free tool that can help you, right? Also, go on down to pmp.pmradio.org. Again, another flavor of my podcast, but this time content rich with video, and it's free. Okay, I'm paying this forward. I'm putting this stuff out because I know it will help you. When I was looking to get certified, I begged and pleaded. The guy who sold me his used books on eBay, he just wanted to sell the books. He had gotten certified, and I didn't really have anyone to answer the hard questions for me about the exam. But thankfully, I had a mentor who gave me the study materials, which were very helpful. Those were paid materials she purchased, but these are free, okay? pmradio.org, pmp.pmradio.org, study.pmradio.org, all free, okay? So again, Scrum is a beast. You do need to conquer it. Now, someone will say, oh, it's just 353, it's easy. You wait until the flying monkeys come out. You'll see the concoction that PMI has created for you on the exam. You realize that Scrum, even though it comes across as simple 353, when the questions are mixed with predictive, you could get lost very quickly because you know the PMI is not just going to give you agile questions. They're going to mix agile and predictive. It's going to be fun, okay? But you want to be ready. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. Thank you, Colleen. Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you very much for subscribing to the podcast. Same for everyone else. Highly advised. Sign up for the podcast. It's free. Just go on down to pmp.pmradio.org. Put it in the chat so that everyone's aware. Okay, that's one. Also going down to study.pmradio.org. And just going down also to pmradio.org, the vanilla flavored pmradio.org, because that will also give you a whole lot of content. In fact, I'm clocking over thousands of hours. The last time I checked, thousands of minutes, I beg your pardon, which is tens of hours, going on at least 40 to 50, if not more hours. I think it's probably going to 100 hours of audio on the pmradio.org. All right, so let me put that in the chat as well. Going down to pmradio.org. All these things are free. People think, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just package it and sell it? Well, I've sold a lot of audio. I just want to pay it forward and help people who are struggling. I have a lot of friends all over the world, and I get the email quite regularly. I don't have enough funds to sign up for training. What do? I say sign up for my 40, 50, 60-hour training. All right. Last but not least, in this publication, my friends, in this thing over here, I have PMP exam situational questions. And I want to give you some ideas. Spoiler alert, though, if you do get the document, I'm sorry, I'm showing you the answers, but you got to kind of scroll through because the answers come up immediately. All right, here's some sample questions because I would really want to pass home the point that on your PMP exam, it's not going to be, you were a project manager and you just got done with develop project charter. What do you get? It's not going to be that. It's really not going to be that, my friends. It's going to be stuff like this. You are a project manager leading a project for a nonprofit organization focused on environmental conservation. Your team has discovered that one of the project's activities might have unintended negative environmental impacts. What should you do next as a responsible steward? Ignore the potential impacts and proceed with the activity. Document the discovery and proceed with the activity seeking approval later. Halt the activity and consult with environmental experts to assess the impacts. Analyze the issue and escalate to senior management for resolution. I am not asking you to answer the question now, but I just wanted you to know I have 70 questions in this document of what should the PM do next. Here's another one. You are managing a project that involves the disposal of hazardous waste materials, so on and so forth. I got 70 of these questions. I can't go through them here, but if you wanted to grab the PMP accelerated document, it's like 2 Happy Meals. Those of you in the United States know what a Happy Meal is. You know, you can just forego 2 Happy Meals and boom, you got this document. But the value of this is beyond a Happy Meal, I can tell you, because I've put a lot of thought into the questions. I have put quite a bit of trickery, like the PMI, into some of the questions towards the end. And honestly, if I were you and I wanted to do this right, I would advise that you time yourself. Time yourself as you do these questions, just to make sure you are in the exam zone. Because, you know, I've heard from people who go into the exam and they say, Phil, I went into the test and I ran out of time. I'm like, well, I didn't expect you to have all the time in the world, but surely you should have been looking at the clock to kind of time yourself. So my advice to you is spend 1 minute, 15 seconds per question, and you're going to be good. Okay. But again, in this document, like I said, I have a boatload of questions of a situational nature. All right. So if you want this document, just go on down to the link. I put the link there. The link is tinyurl.com/PMP Accelerated. If you go to that link on the screen at the bottom, you will be able to grab this document. Like I said, a couple of Happy Meals. Well, at this point, I want to answer any questions you have. I want to add whatever value I can through answering questions for you. Do you have any questions that I can answer? Any concerns I can address? Any topics in the PMP exam curriculum, or maybe you've got questions as far as preparation for the exam. Maybe it's your application. You don't know where to begin. That's why I come on here every now and again to help you. Come on now. Questions, concerns that I can address right now. My friends on YouTube, you got any questions? Now would be a perfect opportunity. All right, let me go ahead and let me share with you one more piece. Let me show you the link, because I know some of you may not be able to see what I was sharing previously. So let me go ahead and share it. Let's take this off. And share it. Let's see. For some reason, I'm not able to. But again, the link, again, is tinyurl.com/PMP Accelerated. All of the information I shared with you and more can be found at that link. Let's try one more time. One more time. Okay. Try and get the window. Okay, there we go. All right, so that's the link. It's tinyurl.com/PMP Accelerated. And then you'll be able to download what I shared with you, be able to get those 70 questions and get clarity for the exam. But I want to make it very clear. Don't go into your exam without reading the Agile Practice Guide. Don't go into the exam without knowing your principles. I would highly advise knowing, at least at a high level, the performance domains. I would advise paying attention to those that are a little bit new in the whole narrative, like the measurement performance domain, even though that's always been in the background in the monitoring and controlling process group. But maybe read that with a little bit more finesse. And then read your 49 processes. I put some summaries in the book. I really think that will suffice. I think if you read this PMP Accelerated and you went through the 70 questions there, in all honesty, not looking at the answers, but just going through them in all honesty, I think you will really up your game. I think it will help you know what to expect, especially if you're adhering to the 1 minute, 15 seconds. I think it will really help you. All right, my friends, with that, I want to say thank you very much for joining me. We have come to the end of the session. I wish you all the very best. Take care and bye for now.